If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
Yes, to buy our merch.
Dear listener, we are in the midst of a stream DJ'd by the big homie and my personal friend, DJ7. Trust me, dear listener, that does not go into the scoring. As a matter of fact, I'd much rather score 7 songs all low because he was cheering for the Rams against the great. And did you see the nerve of this guy?
Oh no!
During the Super Bowl, he was my buddy. He was the only one that was talking to me in the village during the Super Bowl. So I texted back and forth. We got into another Brady argument. And I said, "Son of awesome, Darren," and he always says the most ridiculous stuff about Brady, and then I always get mad, and he's like, "Hey, man, hey." He knows how I feel about Tom.
All right, up next on our 7 Dusted stream is Jesus Jones right here, right now.
Woman on the radio talks about revolution.
I really like. Okay, so that
was the jam.
I've heard the right here, right now part before, and I don't know where I've heard it. But Dustin was saying that this was about the Berlin Wall when it came down.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had to like stop thinking about it because it was such like an upbeat song, and I was thinking, man, like when they make a song when abortion stops and that's done, that's a thing of the past. You know, when he says, "Oh, I saw the decade in when it seemed the world could change at the blink of an eye. If anything, then there's your sign of the times." Like when something big like that happens in your time, it must feel like, because you didn't feel the struggle before it. You know what I mean? Like the generations that.
Well, so I remember that we had a guest speaker. We were at a Christian school. We had a guest speaker, and the guest speaker was speaking about communism, the evils of communism, yada, yada, yada. And he reached into his pocket, he pulled out this rock. He said, "This rock is really a piece of the Berlin Wall." I mean, the whole place went crazy. I didn't have enough context, though, to understand geopolitically what was happening, because in our evangelical circle, this was a sign of the end of the world or something. I don't know how the fall of the Berlin Wall was going to result in the Antichrist or whatever, but that was the big thing I was hearing at the time.
Really? So that when he said that, the sign of the time or something like that.
Yeah.
Then there's your sign of the times. So you think that that's what he was referencing? The people that thought it was a...
I mean, I don't know. I just remember when that happened, man, that was a big thing. Like, oh, Jesus is going to show up, blah, blah, blah. Russia, you know, because the whole thing was Russia. I mean, it is a really ironic song considering what's currently happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
Because part of the way that we convinced Mr. Gorbachev and the rest of those folks to tear down the wall was that we promised them we wouldn't expand NATO eastward. So the Russians said, "Fine, tear down the wall as long as you guys aren't going to go back on your word and bring NATO vehicles and tanks and trained to our borders." "Oh, no, we won't do that. We won't do that." And we've done it like, I don't know, 12 times since then, 14 times. And
14, I think, yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's just a very ironic song considering, you know, I can't believe it, but we're back here again talking about conflicts with Russia. And like, aside from, quote, whose side you're on, which is a very interesting phrase because there's definitely a specific side that the media wants you to be on, as if there's a pure, you know, good guy, bad guy in this situation.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Whatever you believe, I just think it's really sad and regressive.
Yeah. That
not even the beefs that our parents were worried about, because the boomer generation wasn't really worried about Russia like that. But the previous, our grandparents, like we're back to this Russophobic, McCarthyist shit that our grandparents were dealing with. And now we're dealing with it again. Like anything Russian is crazy. It's just like, man, it's a real interesting commentary on human beings. I'll tell you what. So a woman on the radio was talking about revolution when it's already passed her by. Bob Dylan didn't have this to sing about. You know it feels good to be alive. I was alive and I waited. I was alive and I waited for this. Right here, right now. There's no other place I want to be. Watching the world wake up from history. There was a sort of like the possibilities are endless type feeling in the 90s.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we made it to the moon and all that stuff must have been like, okay, anything's possible now. See, I wouldn't really know about that energy or that feeling. Like I felt like when I was 15 and I started carrying around a cell phone, and that was like, you know, people were not carrying. I was born in 85, so it was 2000, and then I was carrying a cell phone, and nobody else had cell phones. It was so like basically you were calling people's house phones. That was a pretty crazy feeling. And when like you were so used to the big giant computers, and then it went to like thinner things.
Yeah.
That was like, it was like, okay, where are we going to go from here?
And then the AOL, you've got mail. That was like,
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I wasn't like, we couldn't be on the internet, but I remember feeling the excitement of.
Oh, yeah. It was, I mean, yeah. So it's one of those things where you witness all this societal upheaval and all these conflicts, and then you finally get a win. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it was very, very symbolic. It's like, look, the grip that the Soviet Union has, yada, yada, yada. We're going to enter into some era of peace and all this because, you know, you had nuclear powers that were, people were really serious, man. The Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, shit was really crazy. You remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? You know, when the Russians donated out of the kindness of their heart a bunch of ICBMs to Cuba, which Cuba is an island 90 miles away from us, and we threatened to create World War III. We didn't say, Cuba's a sovereign nation. They can have as many ICBMs as they want. Mm-hmm. We said, you better turn around. We would never put anybody else in such a situation. Never put somebody in that situation. Oh my goodness gracious, America.
I thought that the civil rights movement and stuff, like I thought that was probably one of these moments because I really thought that once like I thought that it ended, like once segregation was done with. And like I thought that all that stuff ended. So in that sense, I would have been like, oh, because I remember thinking, wow, like when you have the people from the past that are dead set in their ways, and then you have the people from the future that are completely changed, but at some point they overlap each other. Mm-hmm. And so the change happens right there. So these people are unhappy and these people are like, this has to happen. And so then the change happens. And I thought that the change was like drastic. You know what I mean? Like everybody was like, even the older was seeing it differently and stuff like that. I didn't realize that stuff kind of carried on for so long,
yeah,
you know?
The other thing is that I think it's pretty safe to say now that anytime human beings get into power, they're going to skew towards totalitarianism and tyranny. So what we've just witnessed with this whole Twitter situation, like social media is a perfect example.
Okay.
I have an ideology. If you say something contrary to that ideology, I'm just going to deplatform you. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's one of those things where there are certain movements that are always going to happen. I think one is the anti-war movement, and the other is the efforts people have on the left and the right to limit government power and control. Mm-hmm. Like those are the lessons that we've got to learn. Mm-hmm. But what happens is we become so dependent on the government to bail everything out that they're not thinking about how to hold the government accountable.
Right.
So the government keeps like doing these little things here and here and here and distracting you. That's why I like this whole Elon buying Twitter thing. I'm like, yeah, man, but I still feel like we need a Bill of Rights. And what's really crazy is that now you got Hillary and stuff alluding to creating, now they're talking about creating these structures around social media to limit certain content, you know, government control stuff. I mean, it's bananas, but it's kind of messed up listening to this song because he's celebrating all this like greatness. You know what I'm saying? All these great things, the Berlin Wall, just progress in general. Yeah. And then to find out that, but 20 years later, however it is, more than 20 years, 30 years later, here we are, we're still talking about beef with Russia, nuclear holocaust, whole 9 yards, and it's kind of like a gut punch, like, damn.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Seven was saying, like, when the wall came down, it's like, wow, this was so important to Americans because it's like, this is really symbolic of the end of these tensions.
But it wasn't.
But, well, it was and it wasn't in the sense that generation wasn't hiding under their desk and doing these nuke drills that the previous generation was. But while that was happening, we were slowly eating up more Eastern European countries and jumping on to the border of Russia. Mm-hmm. But we just kind of like expanded it out over 30 years of this constant land eating and provocation and all the rest of it. So it's just really, really interesting situation we're in right now. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a believer in humanity and like where we're going, it's kind of like a giant like. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
My mic is acting all weird again.
Oh God. Okay.
Go ahead. What do you give it?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Jeez, I really enjoyed it. A 9. I enjoyed it. It's a 9. Like I said, if I lived during the time and was conscious of some change in history, the song would be even higher.
Yeah, this song is a 10 for me because it's just a classic. And
I can totally see that.
I feel like this song is like an undeniable classic. It definitely gave me some nostalgic feelings as well. Because I remember there was some commercial or something in the 90s.
Yeah, something.
Theme song. I think it was my Pepsi commercial, actually. Anyway, I don't know. I don't care. Anyway.
Queensryche is next, you bitches.
Oh, it is. Oh, I'm very excited for this one. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Go.